Hi, Pre-Algebra class. I decided to take an opportunity to make a couple videos for you to go over all of the lessons that we've done for Module 14. There was a lot of stuff packed in there, and I don't want it to just get overly complicated for you. So I'm going to have some short videos that will explain everything that we're doing, okay? So the first part for Module 14.1, you can look on page 437 for it, was expressing rational numbers as decimals. And it's important for you to think of what a rational number is and define it for a second before you move on. And inside this word rational, we see the word ratio. And so that's what a rational number is. It is a number that can be expressed as a ratio, such as 1/2, or the number 3 can be written as 3/1, so that's a rational number. The decimal 5/10 can be written as 1/2, because you start as writing it like you say it, like 5/10, which can be simplified to 1/2. Is this ringing a bell? Okay, so a rational number can be positive or negative, but it has to be able to be written as a ratio at some point. And so if you're given a rational number, we're trying to turn them into decimals. And this first part is something that you've been doing over the last couple of years, but I definitely wanted to back up to make sure that this was like firm for you. So here's the first example. We could have 1/4, okay? And right here, we know that this guy, this line here, the vinculum, I think you guys called it, is a division line, and it just means divide. So we kind of just take this number in order to change this rational number into a decimal. We are literally going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And so I like to think of it this way so I know which one is should be going into the other. I like to kind of write my division bar right here, and I like to jump this guy in. I noticed on your test that some of you guys messed this up, and when you were writing it, you were doing 4 divided by 1 and just doing the bigger number divided by the smaller number, and you can't do that because we're talking fractions right now. So it's the numerator divided by the denominator, and in this case it's going to be 1 divided by 4. So you just jump that numerator right in here. That's why I like my visual representation there. I'm going to give myself more space. I'm going to do it on the side over here. And of course, 4 can't go into 1. You guys know that. You're going to add that decimal point, add a 0, and then bring that decimal point straight up. It can go in 2 times. Sorry for the wiggling. And that equals 8. I'm going to subtract. I end up with 2. Add another 0. Bring it straight down. 5. I'm sorry. 0 here. 5 up here, and so 1/4 is going to equal 25/100 as a decimal. So when you do this, if I'm taking some notes, to change a rational number into a decimal, divide the numerator by the denominator. You can take notes on that in your spiral and go from there. And of course, this is a terminating decimal. It ends, right? If it terminates, means it's at the end. But we also sometimes have decimals that don't terminate. They repeat over and over again, and they're still rational numbers because they can be written as fractions or ratios, okay? And so this is a ratio. 1/3 is a ratio. And in order to change this into a decimal, I know that you already know the answer to this already because it's a common known fact. But I'm going to take my numerator, divide it by the denominator by jumping this guy in here. And I'm going to rewrite it on the side so I have more space. So 3 into 1 can't happen. So I add that decimal point and add a 0. Now I can add the 0. It goes in 3 times. And I end up with a 9. Subtract. And I have 1. And I could add another 0. Come down here, and you're going to see a pattern that keeps on happening. It's going to go in 3 times, and I'm going to keep that going. And so it's going to be a 3 here. You could keep on going forever. It will never end, right? You see the pattern happening? So this is a repeating decimal, but how I write it is just 3 with that bar over the top to show that it's repeating. So 3/10 repeated, And this is a repeating decimal. Still a rational number because I can write it as a ratio of a numerator over a denominator.